What's up, guys, and welcome back to another Patreon pick video. If you are unfamiliar with this series, this is something that I do every single month for my patrons. I put out a post, let them throw their suggestions out there, take all of my favorites as well as their favorites, the one that have the most hearts, put them on a list, let them vote for what topic I want to cover, and they love top 10s, they love rankings, and this month they pulled out the big guns. We're going over my top 10 horror franchises. I'm sure there won't be any controversy whatsoever in this list. No bitching in the comment section, I guarantee it. Oh, this is gonna be fun. So guys, yes, if you are wanting to take part in this, the link to my Patreon is down below. It's the best way to help support this channel, not only financially, but just giving cool ideas like this to keep me going. A lot of good interaction on there. Could not keep the lights on quite literally without my patrons. So thank you guys as always. If you want to join in, link down below. And there's actually going to be a follow-up video to this. So since I missed October, I told them to pick two. This is the first one, the one with the most votes. The second most votes was top 10 horror villains. So here in about a week or two, I'm gonna have a companion video to this, and it won't necessarily be the same franchises. So I actually think it's a pretty cool little 1-2 punch there. But nonetheless, starting off at the bottom, number 10 for my favorite horror franchises is gonna be Scream. Now, if you have not already seen my review series, my rankings, or heard me talk about it live, I have a bit of a rocky history with the Scream franchise. When I was a kid, this came out in '96, so I was 6 years old. I was already a horror fanatic at this point. I had already been watching Chucky movies, Freddy movies, Pet Sematary, Lost Boys. I'd been watching all of that over and over and over again for the 2 or 3 years before this. And when Scream came out, especially Scream 2, everybody that I knew, classmates, friends, everybody was suddenly a horror fan. They were like, hey, slashers are cool, but they'd only seen Scream. So I was kind of callous to the whole thing. I was like, you ain't a fucking horror fan, get out of here. And so for a long time, I was kind of callous and had this block to Scream for that reason alone, because it just annoyed me how everybody that didn't know anything about horror was suddenly a horror expert. It's stupid, but it's funny to look back on. Obviously, decades have passed. I've gotten over that bullshit, and I've started to watch the Scream movies for what they actually were, and it's a fun franchise. There's a reason why it's one of the most popular slasher franchises. There's a reason why people continue to talk about it. There's a reason why we're going to be getting a fifth one here in a little over a year, and people are very excited about that. It's a fun franchise. It's a good slasher franchise. It's got good characters, fun characters for the most part. You got a great final girl with Neve Campbell's Sidney Prescott, one of the best by far. The killer, Ghostface, very cool, unique look. I like the whole whodunit aspect where it's always somebody different. And the fact that it's meta, it's self-aware, it always comments on the state of horror, it gives it something unique to watch the Scream movies for that you can't get from a Friday the 13th film, for example.
Name the movie that started the slasher craze. Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Last House on the Left, or Psycho?
Psycho!
None of the above. Peeping Tom, 1960, directed by Michael Powell.
So, I'm a big fan of Scream, and even the third film, which is the worst, but by slasher standards, still pretty damn good. It's a very consistent quality franchise, and it comes in at number 10. Number 9 is gonna be the Hannibal franchise, which is, you know, Manhunter, Silence of the Lambs, Red Dragon, Hannibal, and I'm including the Hannibal TV series too, because that shit's awesome. Well, coming to you live from the editing chair, everybody, I have a challenge for you. Take a shot every single time I say the word awesome in this video. If I say awesome franchise, that's a double shot. Cheers. I love the character of Hannibal Lecter. I love the tone of these movies. I love the whole, you know, side of it where it's like usually a detective trying to find a separate killer who is just as, if not more scary than Hannibal Lecter, and Hannibal Lecter is kind of the sidekick while also moving pieces, you know, on the chessboard himself. It's just a fun franchise. It's a very dark, brutal franchise, but just the whole way that it's all set up, especially through the TV series, it's fascinating to me. It's a fascinating character, and every single person that portrays this character, whether it be Anthony Hopkins or Mads Mikkelsen, I mean, it's just a fascinating character, and that character alone is what will keep these movies going. I know they're based off of books as well, but Silence of the Lambs, easily one of the greatest horror films of all time. Hannibal, I'm not as big on that one, but it's still quality. I really enjoy Red Dragon, and then Manhunter is obviously the same movie, just a little bit more 80s. And the TV series, my God. If you have not given Hannibal the TV series a shot yet, trust me, do it. Because I thought it was going to be garbage. I'm like, how are you going to take this stuff and put it on cable TV and have it be anywhere near as brutal? Oh, they succeed. And Mads Mikkelsen, he might even be better than Anthony Hopkins. I don't know. I'm going to say that too loud. but it's an awesome franchise, comes in at number 9. Number 8 is gonna be Psycho. Now this is a franchise that I actually started kind of getting a lot of fandom for here over the past 3 or 4 years. I had seen the original, I had seen the remake when it came out back in, what, 98? And that was really all I had known about this franchise. I wasn't really that big of a fanatic of it. Psycho 2 is what made me a big fan of this character and this franchise. And then eventually I did the review series, watched and reviewed 3, watched and reviewed 4. And it's just, as far as quality again, just like Scream, it's a pretty consistent franchise. Even if you want to shit on the remake for being an absolute copycat of the original movie, which, trust me, I hear you. On the surface, it's still a quality-made movie. And even the TV-made film of Part 4 is still a very, very watchable fourth, final, prequel, sequel thing. So, you mean, Psycho, proven classic, one of the most celebrated films of all time. Psycho 2, in my opinion, one of the greatest horror sequels of all time. Psycho 3, still a lot of fun. This is a very good franchise, but all at the heart of it is the character of Norman Bates, who is one of the most fascinating characters in horror. I mean, he could easily just be this one-note, psychotic, split-personality killer, but throughout the franchise, they do a lot of really good things to just round this character out and make you care about him. Especially in Psycho 2, when you watch it, it's like, it's not even the fact that he's the villain anymore. He's kind of the victim in that movie, and it's just brilliant the way that they kind of flip that coin on its head. This is an awesome franchise. So I have a whole review series. It was on last year's 31 on 31. Familiarize yourself, because number 8 is Psycho. Number 7, this is one of the newer kids on the block, and that is The Collector. I love these 2 movies of The Collector and The Collection. And we're supposed to have a Collector 3, or The Collected, I think they're calling it, at some point. I don't know what COVID did to that, but depending on the quality of that third film, this might go up in the list, as crazy as that sounds. The Collector could have easily have been this schlocky, torture porn, one last grab from the Saw writer, garbage movie. And it's everything but that. It's a great main character in Arkin that you really sympathize with and you root for. It's a great villain that has a simple look but a scary look and has just enough attributes of a couple other killers that you like to where he's not a copycat, but he just certainly builds on some of the foundation that we've already got from, like, Jigsaw, for example. I love the way that he has traps, but also just has the regular psychotic slasher villain stuff where he's going and he's cutting people up, he's shooting people, and you get into the second movie, especially in The Collection, he's got that whole opening sequence, which is over the top as hell, but glorious, where he has that whole, you know, Hesher thing that comes down and just mows down an entire nightclub. This franchise is awesome. It's brutal, it's gory, it's crazy, has one of the best endings ever in The Collection, in my opinion. But I'm still looking forward to seeing where they go in The Collected. So The Collector sitting here at number 7. Number 6 is going to be Final Destination. This is a franchise that I will definitely be reviewing over the next year at some point, because we're supposed to have a 6th one, I believe. It'd be nice to kind of coincide with that. We'll see what COVID does. But Final Destination is just a very badass, unique series that's not really a slasher series, but kind of is. It's just the invisible killer. Death is coming back for people. This whole concept about somebody getting a premonition, stopping a number of people from being victim to this tragedy, and then suddenly death comes back one by one to take them all out. It's a great concept for a horror film, but it really turned into a fun franchise. The first film definitely towed the line of being fun, but also being scary and tense, and just the whole build up to these like Rube Goldberg machine kills where it's just sitting there just ratcheting up the tension the whole time. You're like, oh, what, is that gonna kill him? Is that gonna kill him? Is it the fishing line? Is it the doorknob? And then it all snaps, goes together, and the dude loses his head because of fucking the sink. You know, something random in the room. It's awesome. It's fun as hell to watch. And even though the 4th film is absolute trash, the other 4 are pretty damn good. I love the first 2, they're my favorite. 3's a lot of fun, and 5 is actually surprising how good that it is. So, very consistent franchise, very fun franchise, and I'm looking forward to a 6th one. So keep your eye out at some point over 2021 for a Final Destination review series, because it's number 6. Number 5 is gonna be Blade. Yes, I love Blade. I'm a vampire fanatic. I love Wesley Snipes in this character. It has that perfect mix of action and horror. And even though the 3rd film has 1,001 things that you can hold against it as being a terrible movie, I still enjoy the hell out of it despite its flaws. And I'm looking forward, even though I'm very skeptical, to see what Marvel is able to do with this. There's some debate online whether or not it's actually going to be a movie or it's going to be a TV series, but I'm curious. But nonetheless, these 3 films, it's all on Wesley Snipes, honestly. Wesley Snipes as this character might be the coolest protagonist in a horror film of all time. He just epitomizes cool. The sunshades, just the way that he's just calm and cool in every situation. You can surround him with 200 vampires and he's like, this is all you brought? I love that character. Even the side characters like Whistler is awesome. Might be a little too much, but when you get Ryan Reynolds into the 3rd film, I have a lot of fun with that. There's a good amount of lore in this franchise and world building about how the rules and the different families of vampires kind of work together. And the 2nd film, which is my favorite, introduces this very new, unique version of vampire with the Reapers, where they got their face that opens up and shit. That is awesome. I have a blast with this franchise. And honestly, I wish we could have gotten a 4th film from Wesley Snipes, but we'll see what happens with Marvel. Blade, number 5. Number 4, I just got done talking about this franchise pretty much ad nauseum. Alien. Alien is a great horror / sci-fi franchise. Even though there's some very spotty quality along the way, I can still watch just about any movie in this franchise, save for Alien 3, and have a really good time with it. None of them are of the prestige of the first 2 films for me, not even Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which is the biggest debate. But all of them I can watch and just appreciate for the artistry there. But goddamn, those first 2 movies are so good. Some of the best ever. You got the original, tense, slasher in space masterpiece by Ridley Scott, introducing us to these creature designs and these rules with the face hugger and impregnating somebody and the chest burster blows out and then gestates into this xenomorph, which is the ultimate perfect killing machine. You get to Aliens, which is one of the greatest action horror sci-fi movies where it's just all of that on steroids, tons of aliens, tons of xenomorphs, lots of action and Marines and get away from her, you bitch.
From her, you bitch!
Some of the best shit you'll ever see in your life, but I even have fun with the bad ones. I mean, Alien 3, I just can't get past. I'm sorry, I know it's quality. I have reasons, I've given them. Alien Resurrection, not a very good movie, but I have a lot of fun with it. The AVP movies, not very good movies, but I have a lot of fun with them. Prometheus, Alien Covenant, depending on my mood, I can enjoy them for what they are. I still have a lot of difficulty getting through why these movies exist, but this is an awesome franchise. Just one of the coolest villains and creature designs ever. One of the best final girls ever in Ripley. Aliens is the shit. Need I say more? Number 4. Number 3, this is where I'm gonna get spit on in the comment section, but it means a lot to me personally, and that is the Phantasm franchise. I grew up watching these movies all the time. The first film is one of the best sci-fi horror films, one of the best like cerebral, what the hell is going on movies I've ever seen. I love the second one, possibly even more. Of all the franchises I've ranked, this is the one where the top 2 just constantly, like minute by minute, go above each other. Phantasm 2 kind of takes the Terminator 2 route. Let's go bigger, let's go action, let's just go, more explosions, more pizzazz, and from there on, the franchise definitely gets rocky. If I was going strictly based off of quality, this might not even be in the top 10, or if it did, it might be number 10. I acknowledge that fully, but those first 2 films, the characters, the world building, the tall man.
You think that when you die, you go to heaven. You come to us.
The spheres, the fucking little evil Jawas, I love them. I love them so much. I have such a gigantic place in my heart for the Phantasm franchise. It's one of the horror franchises that I get the most excited about as far as talking about, like the first 2 movies especially. Say what you will, I love them. Boy. Now we are at the top 2, and this is where people are gonna start hedging their bets about which one's gonna be 1, which one's gonna be 2, because everybody that knows me knows what's gonna be in the top 2. And number 2 for me is going to be the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Now hold on, I know some of you are freaking out right now, calling bullshit, or just, you know, wanting to wake up from this dream. How the hell did the Freddy guy put Nightmare on Elm Street at number 2? I have my reasons, and I will get into them right now. Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite of the big 3 by a landslide.
This is God.
Remember I said that video is coming out with the top 10 horror villains, so you might see some more elaboration on this in that video. But as far as franchises as a whole, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is definitely all over the place as far as quality. I love it to death. I will defend it to my death, and just like Phantasm, I don't even care how bad some of these movies are. I still have a gigantic place in my heart for it. I love Freddy Krueger as a villain. I love the original film, and Dream Warriors are some of my favorite films of all time. I even have fun with some of the bad ones, like 2 and 4. I could still watch those, have some nostalgia for them. But where it slides out of the number 1 spot for me is strictly because of the consistency of the quality, because you have one of the best horror movies of all time, one of the weirdest horror movies of all time, one of the best sequels of all time, one of the most lackluster sequels of all time. Shittier.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul, too.
It's all over the place throughout this franchise. And then the remake comes along and fucks it all up again. So, how is it number 2 and I'm giving you all negatives? This is an awesome franchise with awesome rules, a lot of great creativity with the kills. I mean, they have carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want with all these kills. You're asleep. Whatever you want to do to these kids, do it. Stay within budget, but do it. Rennie Harlan was one of the biggest examples of like, all right, well, I'm just going to go balls out and just throw whatever I want on the screen. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, this is, I don't know why I'm trying to justify why I have it at number 2. It's up at the top of this list. Just deal with it. Nightmare on Elm Street is the shit. It is one of the greatest, and it is my number 2 of 10. Which leaves me and this guy hanging out at number 1. The Child's Play franchise is my favorite horror franchise. Now again, it's a pretty razor-thin difference between 1 and 2, but where Child's Play, I think, betters Nightmare on Elm Street, if it betters it in any aspect, is that the consistency is there. The quality is there throughout most of the franchise. The continuity is there throughout most of this franchise. Now, I despise Seed. If I could wipe that from existence, I would. I really do not appreciate what he did with Cult, but all the rest of these movies are some of the most consistent in quality, and definitely some of the most consistent as far as the continuity in any slasher franchise you could ever see. Before Cult came out, I would have told you that Child's Play and Scream were by far the 2 most consistent horror slasher franchises in existence. Now, Cult kind of dropped that bar a little bit, but then you have the remake come in, and I know I'm in the minority with this, but I think the remake is actually pretty damn good. It's not anywhere near as good as this version of Chucky, or Brad Dourif's Chucky, or that whole voodoo aspect of Chucky, but for going in a totally different direction, doing something new and unique with a beloved property, that is what I want to see remakes do. Do something different. Go way into left field and do your own version of it, and I think that movie ended up being pretty damn good. So you got one of the best in Child's Play, the great Tom Holland, love that film. Child's Play 2, one of my favorite sequels of all time, and my favorite of the franchise. Child's Play 3, one of the most important horror films ever to me, because it was my introduction to horror. Bride of Chucky, again, huge competition with Child's Play 2 for my favorite. Fuck Seed. Curse of Chucky is a very good kind of reboot, going back to, you know, the basics, going back to the style of the first couple of films, and then Cult, things about it that I like, a lot that I don't. But as far as franchises go, Chucky is my guy. Child's Play is my shit, and that is the franchise that is, number 1, my favorite horror franchise. So that's it, guys. That is my top 10 horror franchises of all time. Keep your eyes peeled and hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, so that you can see here in a week or two who my top 10 horror villains are. It might not line up with this list 100%, so don't be acting like you know the answers, because you don't. Check that one out, please. Thank you so much for my patrons, as always, for sponsoring this video, for helping out this channel as much as you guys always do. You're all awesome. Please like and share this video. Like I said, hit that subscribe button. There's a lot of cool shit in this channel you'll enjoy. And as always, guys, remember, opinions are like assholes. but that doesn't mean that you have to be.